MamaMax is a predator hunting YouTube channel who is most well known for creating massive awareness campaigns against YouTube whenever he receives a community guideline strike, using hashtags such as Pick a Side YouTube and Answer Us PedoTube. But his newest awareness campaign isn't against YouTube this time, but rather against an alleged pedophile vampire cult leader called Camden Gerard Davis. And this awareness campaign is the biggest one he's ever done, dedicating himself so much to it that he changed his channel name temporarily to God Cult and privated all of his previous videos. But unfortunately, the videos that did stay up didn't really give enough information for people to fully understand what's going on with Camden Gerard Davis, but rather referred people to a podcast made by one of his alleged victims, Spencer, called the You Can't Hurt Me podcast. And in this 4-hour video, Spencer goes on to explain who Camden Gerard Davis is and all of the horrible things he's done. Here is some of that podcast.
Can you tell us a little about your life before you joined the cult?
So, as a child, I was more so raised by my great-grandparents. Great-grandmother died when I was 9. Moved in with my dad and my stepmom when I was like 11. And from there, I was just kind of tossed around, really. I was mentally ill, but nobody really realized it, and they didn't understand that I needed help. You know, it really made me feel unwanted in a lot of ways. And then finally, I moved back in with my dad and my stepmom, and things were pretty alright for a while. That summer, I had met a girl in summer school named Carrie Sutton. We kind of became friends and everything. Later on, after the new school year had started and after Christmas and everything, I started having some more, issues at home. I think my mental state just wasn't the best. And so Carrie introduced me to this guy that she had been talking to online. And his name was Quinn at the time. I don't even know, how he managed to manipulate us to believe the things he did half the time. But he told me that I was somehow a vampire, whatever, and that he was this werewolf and he knew God and all this shit. I don't know. At the time, being 16, I believed him. And he just lured me further and further in. And when I started having more issues at home, it got into a fight with my entire family, and I just remember running out of the room and everything, and they took my phone from me, but I had an iPod hidden somewhere, and I still had Kik, so I was texting Quinn, and he was oh, your family's gonna have you arrested. You need to come out here. You'll be safe here. Nothing will happen to you if you come here. And I believed him and I trusted him, and I don't know why. But one morning, it was a Friday, I had gone down the stairs, everybody was out on the front porch. I ran out through the garage around the back of the house and just booked it to Wiley East. When I got to Georgia, he had gotten an Uber, he came and picked me up, and then I lived in his mother's house after that.
Tell me more about Quinn.
Quinn was one of the aliases Camden was using. Camden is the cult leader.
Okay. What was the cult?
It was basically a supernatural cult where he convinced all of us that we were vampires, werewolves, hybrids, celestials, and all this shit. He would literally act like he was possessed by, the archangels and shit.
Okay.
And we believed him.
So you didn't think he was role-playing. You thought he was actually... What made you think his stories were real?
He spoke with such conviction about them. it seemed as though even he himself believed it. And maybe in a sense he does. But right off the bat, like, as soon as I got into his bedroom when I got there in person, he initiated sex and everything. And I felt like I kind of had to go along with it at that point. I was like, fuck, well, I'm here. And at that point, I somewhat had feelings for him because I was like, well, fuck, he helped me out of this shitty situation. You know, because I was a kid, I didn't realize what was happening. He always got, like, really sexual at times.
Of course.
Yeah. Ugh.
So...
I was like, I guess I can do this. It's whatever. Like, I was literally in my mind trying to make myself accept, okay, well, this is what's happening. Funny thing is I got pregnant from the Arkansas experience. And that was among one of the first times that Camden forced me to induce a miscarriage. Via shit ton of cinnamon, vitamin C, and him beating me in the stomach.
My God. And that worked?
Yes.
So it wasn't even stillbirth, you just...
Nope, it was just like within a month I had started having some symptoms and he was like, okay, well, you can't have the baby. You can't have that baby. And so, you know, that's what he did because he didn't want that evidence to be there. He had gotten me pregnant 3 other times within the span that I was able to see him in person. He kept doing the same thing to force me to miscarry. The last time was when I lived with my foster parents. Like, at the end of my physical stay with him, okay, so the whole reason that he was inducing the miscarriages was he wanted to traffic me and wanted my body to automatically start rejecting pregnancies. So he kept trying to get me to sleep with men off Whisper and everything, making posts about it, and eventually I was like, no, I'm not going to do that shit. Fuck no. And, you know, I had feelings for him at the time, and I was like, that's me cheating on you. I'm not okay with that. And, like, a few days after I gave him that firm no, he was like, Leviathans are coming after you. You've got to get out. Yeah.
So as you can tell, some pretty crazy stuff was going on with Camden Gerard Davis, allegedly. But unfortunately, most of MamaMax's audience wasn't aware of these details regarding Camden Gerard Davis because this podcast was uploaded to a separate channel, with Max only promoting it through his video that was supposed to launch this whole awareness campaign instead of in the video itself. That, alongside with him calling out other YouTubers to once again spread awareness, like he did with his previous anti-YouTube campaigns, caused the audience to not receive the video as well as Max was hoping, which caused him to make this video calling out Moist Critical and people talking about the Sniper Wolf doxing situation with Jack's Films, begging them to take his awareness campaign seriously.
My name is Max Stryker. I'm a filmmaker dedicated to empowering children. This is a call to action disguised as a cancellation. It is my hope that it will bring the maximum amount of eyes and ears to crucial issues in our society. Let this video be the example by which we as influencers can make digestible content for our audience while addressing much more important matters. Thank you. The actions of Camden Gerard Davis, his heinous crimes, the lives he's shattered, the trauma he's inflicted, these did not appear in our daily news feed, yet they are glaring examples of the darker aspects of humanity that we, as a society, often choose to ignore. The gravity of his actions The suffering of his victims should stir us to our core, prompting outrage, action, and a demand for justice. Yet such stories often receive a fraction of the attention granted to the latest internet scandal. The survivors who fell prey to Camden Gerard Davis were once impressionable and malleable minds, unknowingly ensnared by the beguiling algorithms of the internet that would lead them almost irretrievably into the clutches of exploitation. For 7 long years, their pleas echoed into the void, muted cries for help that were met with an indifferent world, too hyper-focused on some ephemeral stimulation. We can set new standards for the kind of content that gets attention and shapes conversations. This shift in priorities from purely entertaining to meaningfully impactful work can pave the way for a more informed and action-oriented online community. It's an opportunity for influencers to use their platforms for something greater than just views and likes, to become agents of change in a world that desperately needs it. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Growing concerns that has been eclipsed by your usual online interactions.
Yeah, so needless to say, that video didn't work. It actually caused people to hate this awareness campaign even more, instead of just being confused, due to how aggressively he went after people not covering this, essentially implying that they don't care about the well-being of children because of it. And this general irritation with MamaMax and how he was going about things caused people to look into his past actions on YouTube and pay attention to oddities like that one time he called someone a pedophile for no reason.
Anthony Field, Haley's boyfriend, Magnetar on YouTube, the one who published this video on me.
And then put this QR code on the screen for one frame that lead to text with someone saying, "You decided damning me with lies and blasphemy and designed fantasies, deprive me of my privacy, and thrive upon my past receipts. But your falsified philanthropy cannot survive reality. You pedophiles still." This second one is a conversation between what I assume is Max and an alleged victim of Anthony, and it starts out with Max saying, "Hello." She responds, "Hey, how's it going?" Max responds, "It's going well. Thank you so much for taking the time to message me here. I'm very sorry to bother you about this." She responds, "Yeah, of course. It's not a bother. I don't mind." A day later, Max then responds, "Thank you so much. Also, my apologies for not getting back to you sooner. I will be on and off every few days. So I'd like to start by asking, what is your history with Anthony?" She responds, "I was in marching band with Anthony when I was in high school. He was a senior and I was a freshman." Max responds, "Did he make any advances on you?" She responds, "I mean, he was one of those kids that was always naturally flirty. We were really good friends for the year we were in school together. There was never anything that made me feel weird about him necessarily. But after he graduated and went to work in the White House, he started texting me again out of the blue. But I can't remember how we got to that point in the conversation. But he eventually sent me a video of him touching himself. It was definitely random and not something I asked for because I was at my best friend's house at the time. And he sent it to me while we were eating dinner. And I just remember slamming my phone face down on the table and telling her I'd tell her about it when we finished eating. He asked for pictures in return, but I never sent anything. He was a little miffed and tried to talk me into it, but after that, we never spoke again. From what I was able to discern from Facebook, he had a girlfriend at the time." Max responds, "Thank you for telling me this. Were you still a minor at the time?" She responds, "Yeah, I was a sophomore in high school. so I was probably 15. He responds, I'm so sorry to hear that. He then shows a picture of Anthony in a yearbook and says, can you confirm this man, Anthony Field, is the one who sexted you? She responds, that would be the one. And then he says, what else did he do after he sent you that video? How were you feeling? She responds, I mean, I was a little weirded out by it because I hadn't really seen a penis yet. My friend and I laughed about it, and I don't think Anthony and I ever talked again after that. Max responds, I'm really glad y'all could laugh about it. I'm sorry that happened though. I imagine you don't have the video or conversation anymore? Andrew, aka Magnetar, addressed this himself on Twitter when he says, in August 2022, as a way to deflect accusations against him from former friends and girlfriends, Max retaliated against me by labeling me a pedophile. He said I was a predator with multiple victims, based on nothing but anonymous, unverified messages from an alleged victim and testimony from her own sister. My life turned upside down. His accusation against me was viewed nearly 1 million times, and led to thousands of people to flood my accounts, both YouTube and personal. They sent death threats. They sent photos of them outside my office building. They shared my home address. They spammed my friends and co-workers. They texted and called me. Friends, co-workers, and even fans got spammed. Some creators I admired stayed silent, and others cut ties. People I collaborated with stopped talking with me. Viewers canceled memberships and left notes of how disappointed they were in me. Suicide was at one point a serious thought. Eventually it died down, but the fear and anxiety and the fucking anger was still there. In 2023, to try and reset my brain and improve my mental health, I took 2 months of medical leave from my job. It helped a little, and I feel like the girls and I were able to largely move on from everything that happened in 2022/2023. And then last weekend, Max made the claims again. I was sick to my stomach and shaking all night because I was terrified we would be in for another horrible wave of attacks. Funny enough, in the same stream he made these claims, he was also absolutely obliterated by his audience and other content creators for a laundry list of things he has been fucking up for years. The extent of his issues are still being dug through, but falsifying things in his content, lying, and generally being untrustworthy and unhinged are some ways we can now verifiably describe him. Didn't plan to rant, but gotta say thanks to everyone who had my back, and the girls too. And thank you to the dozens of creators and others who are doing work to finally hold Max Strychler accountable. So, after all of this stuff with Andrew being labeled a pedophile by MamaMax with very, very little and weak evidence, it has caused people to question a bunch of things about MamaMax, including the validity of the allegations against Camden Gerard Davis himself. And the skepticism is only grown by the fact that Max has yet to fully explain the story of Camden Gerard Davis, despite this awareness campaign starting all the way back in late October of last year, to the point where even some of Max's good YouTuber friends are starting to speak out against him, like some ordinary gamers who tweeted out, I had a call with MamaMax regarding his recent campaign known as God Cult that I'm not too fond of. Wanted to get to understanding this situation, but after 2 hours of a call with him, I'm thoroughly disappointed with how he handled this investigation. A serious situation has been reduced to a joke, and I'm incredibly angry. I will say this has been the worst YouTube investigation I've seen on this platform, and it should have never been handled in this manner. I'll be working on a video regarding this. And Max probably saw this tweet from his friend Mudahar, as before Muda could upload his video explaining his issues with MamaMax's investigation, MamaMax uploaded this really weird apology video that's kind of an apology, but kind of not really, titled, I place accountability in my own hands. Here is some of that video.
I just completed a 30-minute video called Silencing All Survivors that addresses pretty much everything. It addresses criticisms. It addresses my approach. It includes apologies. It includes a call to action on Camden. A little bit of information about everything, but I showed it to some trusted friends and the survivors. Some people loved it. Some people had a few criticisms, and then some people hated it and told me not to upload it. I feel like I'm being pulled in every which way, and no matter how hard I try, I cannot make everyone happy. I'm trying to prioritize the survivors over myself. Where do I put the general public in that priority list? I feel like I'm in an impossible position where I just can't seem to do the right thing. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry I can't make all of you happy. I'm sorry to Charlie for dragging him into a case that is not necessarily his fight. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my audience who don't even know what the heck is going on. Like I'm uploading shorts, I'm doing live streams, I'm doing weird ass videos. Just trying to find the remaining survivors of Camden Gerard Davis. That has always been the goal for this awareness campaign. And while it's worked in some respect, it's also caused a lot of issues. I don't want to cause issues. I want to resolve these issues. I'm trying to communicate with my peers. I'm trying to listen to dissenting voices, and every single person is telling me something different, and I don't know what to do. And that's why I've been asking for help. People say, just wait for law enforcement to do something. But we've waited 7 years, and they haven't done anything. So we decided to just go public with it, and put eyes on him. And people wanted evidence, so we've been inviting people to our little server where we have the evidence. But then people don't want to listen to the survivors when they're in there and just look at the evidence and conclude it's nothing. And people are making all these public attacks, not platforming any of us, not wanting to talk to the survivors themselves. And when people do talk to the survivors, they're getting attacked just because they're transgender. And I know if I could have just started with making everything clear from the beginning, maybe this could have all been avoided. And I take accountability for that. And it feels like when we reach out for help, people just want to use that opportunity to attack us, to hate on me. It's hard. This is really hard. Let's just start from the beginning. I met Spencer. She told me what happened to her. I told her I was busy with other projects, but if you need me to hand this to someone else, I will. She said, no, I want you. While I was there listening to her, that's when I realized this is going to evolve into something much more. Like, originally, I just wanted to do a podcast where we platform survivors and they tell their story. But you can't just tell your story anymore. Now you need concrete evidence. Now you need to go to law enforcement multiple times. Now you need to consult with lawyers. Like, we can't just listen to survivors when they're screaming for help. And that's why I've been taking all of these creative, experimental approaches to try to bolster their voice. Not only can they be heard, but they can be seen and they can be addressed. So, instead of addressing all the random rumors that people make up and responding to criticism, talking about the wrongdoings of other influencers, I'm just going to take accountability for my actions and correct them starting now. Let's just start fresh. We need to keep finding the remaining survivors. If you don't want to help, you don't have to. But if you do, please reach out to me. We will invite you to our server.
So yeah, despite MamaMax hugging Spencer at the end, nobody ended up liking this video, everybody was critical of it, and MamaMax continued to bleed subscribers. But it got even worse when Mudahar uploaded his video, alongside Nicholas Diorio, who also uploaded a video in conjunction with Mudahar. And in Nick's video, we learn quite a bit about Max through an interview Nick was able to have with him for this video. And what we learn is shocking, to say the least.
How much of what you do is kayfabe and how much of it is legitimately like live? This is the investigation, here it is.
So the investigations themselves are real, but obviously the films have fictional elements. Like, it's a film, like I am presenting it as if it were to be real, but I didn't think people would take it as that. Like,
But wait, you hunt pedophiles. You don't think that people are going to think your videos are real?
So that's the thing. So I want everyone, when you watch my video, to assume everything is fake, except like when I show a people's face and what they're doing. There's multiple things against Anthony Field. For me, I feel comfortable saying he is a pedophile. I don't feel he could do anything to me legally for saying that, because if he were to, the girl who made the testimony would come forward and testify against
So she
him.
has his dick pic and has timestamps of when it was sent. That's real, that exists?
He does not have his dick pic.
So what does she have that she could come forward with?
Just her memory. But
wait,
she
so you
can't
don't think
come-
that you could legally be held liable for the statements you're making if he were to sue you because you have someone who can come forward and tell you it happened?
Well, I am just documenting what she said.
No,
If he
you are
wants to
calling
sue
him
me-
a pedophile.
Correct. And to be able to successfully sue me for defamation, he would have to prove that I am lying, which I am not, because the girl is real and she sent me those DMs.
So yeah, not only are his videos like half fake, half real, but he confirmed that he has no concrete evidence of Anthony being a pedophile, despite calling him one in a video that garnered almost 1 million views. So after the YouTubers Nicholas Diorio and Mudahar from Some Ordinary Gamers uploaded their videos talking about MamaMax's failed investigation into Camden Gerard Davis, Twitter has been blowing up with discussion around this topic, starting when Mudahar tweeted out his video by saying, "Today I spent an hour to review one of the worst examples of predator hunting I've seen in YouTube history. One example that's still sadly occurring as we speak. This is how one beloved creator on YouTube has spiraled into madness and is actively ruining cases. Link below." And since we're past the point of caring, I want to advise I've been receiving vague threats before uploading this video. I don't care what damage you cause to me or my brand. Please hand this case off to someone who's capable. He then shows some DMs he got from MamaMax on Discord, where MamaMax says, "Please, Muda, take time to think deeply and clearly about this case, other well-known documented cases, and yourself. I admit to my mistakes. Please reflect on yours. I am not going to attack you publicly, but if we are forced into a position where we need to respond to you, we absolutely will, and we are not afraid to do so. And I promise you it is going to get very ugly for you and your brand. We have called each other brothers. Please treat me as such as I have been doing for you. There is absolutely a time and place for a conversation on false accusations. I am a literal victim of this phenomenon, and I would love to have a public conversation about it, even on your podcast if you'll have me. But this case is not it." Muda responds, "What do you mean it's going to get very ugly for me and my brand? I'm literally asking you for evidence. I'm never stating Camden is innocent. You've made a poor job of presenting this. How is it bad for me to tell people to think critically and demand concrete evidence when blasting an individual?" MamaMax responds, "Let me be clear. That is not a threat. That is what is being discussed between the survivors and myself when you were making things public without conducting a thorough investigation." Mikey mumbles response to Muda posting this by saying, "We have called each other brothers. If we are forced into a position where we need to respond, I promise it is going to get very ugly for you." Dude went from emotional manipulation to a literal threat in the same message. What is he on? Repsion responds by saying, "It's about to get ugly for your brands is a threat. What the fuck is this dude smoking? He's off his rocker." Eckhart's Ladder says, "If he does respond, is he going to use that goofy ass voice he does?" Sir James Insane responds to Muda by saying, "You were making things public without conducting a thorough investigation? My guy, you did this!" New Poster tweets about the MamaMax situation by saying, "MamaMax is actually so funny. He's like an adult lib theater kid combined with a QAnon LARP pedo hunter. I also haven't laughed harder recently than figuring out he doesn't just sound like that. The deep voice is just totally fake to make him sound less like a dipshit." Ellie says, when you ask MamaMax why he's losing subs, showing a picture of MamaMax sitting in a burning building and then giving us a random QR code. This other Ellie shows a picture of a dog in a Batman mask and says, "MamaMax editing his cornball ass videos thinking he's the coolest guy who's ever lived." MamaMax then tweets out, "If you were a survivor of Camden Gerard Davis, please DM me here." He then gets absolutely obliterated in terms of being ratioed, with the post only getting 28 likes, with hundreds of quote retweets and replies. Timmy responds to Max by saying, "Here's what you would look like if you were black or Chinese." Withered says, "MamaMax of catching pedos was a class. Super F." So after getting clowned on a bunch after Muda and Nick's video came out on him, MamaMax decided to take things a little further. And Muda revealed what those things were when he tweets out, was sent what appears to be a leaked message from Max to his private evidence server, so can't claim if this is valid. Insane fucking behavior to start wasting resources on an international lawsuit. Get help. He then shares screenshots where Max says, "At everyone, Spencer and I are considering a class action lawsuit against Mudahar for breaching our non-disclosure agreement, inciting harassment on live streams, defamation, and causing emotional distress. He's extremely rich, so the lawsuit seeks $1 million in damages to be distributed between all of you. All you would have to do is testify against him, particularly regarding his actions, not speaking to any of you about the evidence and the impact his behavior has had on you. Spencer has agreed to be the lead plaintiff, and I'll do all of the hard work. Please let us know if you are interested. This could have a huge impact on the case against Camden." And then one of the alleged survivors of Camden in this chat with Max responds by saying, "Dude, no, can this stop?" Mudahar continues on Twitter by saying, "Despite this, I'll still do what I can to help any potential victims privately. I don't believe this is the thinking of any parties who are seeking justice. I think this is the AI dribblings of a man-child." I respond by saying, "Holy shit, he's actually insane. Even the alleged victims want him to stop. He's fucking up their case to get revenge on you. What the fuck?" Dojangles says, "What a clown. This has never had anything to do with victims." Shubal says, "The dude knows says it all, to be honest." Disciple says, "In a way, I hope he goes through with it, because then he'd be subject to discovery. I bet that thought never crossed his mind, lol." The Quartering says, "Congrats on being extremely rich." Wavy Websurf says, "This is fucking insane if true. Max, log off, playa." Ruined Leon says, "So MamaMax response is to potentially sue YouTubers. This doesn't help the victims at all." Optimus says, "It's been apparent this dude was a douchebag for quite some time now. His accountability upload solidified it, and now threatening to sue Muda just nailed the coffin. If it was really about helping victims and speaking up for people, none of this stupidity would be happening." Oompaville says, "This is fucking unhinged, holy shit." Magnetar says, "Oh my god, lol. Muda, if this is real and he comes after you, I will 100% go through with my suit against Max." Magnetar also tweets out, "I want to say thanks to all the folks responsible for shedding light on Max's exploitative behavior towards survivors, and the way he frivolously makes serious accusations without evidence. Specifically, I want to thank Nicholas Diorio and Some Ordinary Gamers for the recent videos, and for taking the opportunity to apologize for your initial reactions to Max's baseless allegation towards me. I have been waiting for this moment for over a year, and finally, I feel like I can put much of the Max trauma behind me. This does not mean I won't stop ensuring he is held accountable in every way I can. Thank you." So the trauma and baseless accusation from MamaMax that Magnetar is referring to comes from a feud they had in July of 2022, where Magnetar made a video with a bunch of Max's ex-girlfriends accusing him of being abusive, and then MamaMax responded by making allegations that Magnetar is a pedophile without any substantial evidence on his predator hunting YouTube channel. And since Max had a lot of credibility at the time, this obviously caused a lot of issues for Magnetar. But now that Max's credibility is a lot worse than it was back then, Magnetar finally feels comfortable to share more details on what he had to deal with behind the scenes in regard to MamaMax, like this email thread he had with his legal team from January 2023, where it demands that he remove his video on MamaMax as well as all public statements in regards to MamaMax, as well as cease contact with the girls who were accusing MamaMax of abuse, and make a public and private apology for stalking their client for almost 10 years. Magnetar's lawyer responds by asking MamaMax's legal team to identify themselves as a legitimate attorney, to which MamaMax's legal team responds by saying they can't due to public exposure and behavior exhibited by Magnetar, meaning that he doesn't want to share, which makes no sense. And then the legal team continues to demand that Magnetar complies with the terms by June 1st of 2023, which obviously he never did, and it's been 7 months since then, and it doesn't seem like anything happened to Magnetar. So as many of you guys know by now, the YouTuber MamaMax is pretty crazy, but even I didn't expect him to say something as crazy as what was leaked in this clip posted by Vince Vintage, where he captions it by saying, "MamaMax's unhinged rant. I could literally cancel you, Charlie. I'm the pedo hunter," from an unreleased video edit.
I could literally cancel you, Charlie. I could literally cancel you. And I choose not to. It's true though. It's the truth. Like, I'm the friggin' pedo hunter.
Vince Vintage then posts another clip with the caption, "I thought Charlie's video about obsessive creeps was about me, because I get what I'm doing is creepy and obsessive."
I clicked this video because I thought he was talking about me. Are you okay? Are you sure?
Why do I do this to me?
Because I get it. Like, I get what I'm doing is creepy and obsessive. It is. But I promised them I would not let them down, and I will not.
Doe Jangles responds by saying, "This level of cope is insane." Vince Vintage responds, "Come on, he's the friggin' pedo hunter." Dentavius responds, "Bro thinks he's the Joker." Vince responds, "I could literally cancel you, Dentavius." Savox responds by saying, "It's almost I'm the goddamn Batman levels on cringe." Dr. Evil Rabbit says, "He's a pedo hunter, yet dude fails to provide evidence. Couldn't be me, I'm out here catching them lacking." TJ Lynch says, "I kinda hope Charlie does do a full video on MamaMax, if simply because his clapbacks have a tenacity to give us a legendary moment, like with the Sneeko response video a while back." Tommy C reacts to this by saying, "This cannot be real?" Mudhar says, "My god, he's fucking unhinged." Failed Heatsink says, "When he goes to bed knowing he really can't do any of this." Kevin says, "I'm the pedo hunter," says the man who never hunted an actual pedo. This guy let the community's goodwill go to his head, and now he sees himself as a holy figure raining down judgment. Shugo says, "This is the action of someone who calls themselves the good guy while beating their wives." Gaz says, "He needs to go outside and touch some grass." Smaggle says, "Breaking! New messages have surfaced from the MamaMax Survivor Discord server, showing that Spencer and Max are conspiring to sue Muda just so more exposure can be put onto Camden." He then shows those messages, but before I read them, he follows up with a tweet that I agree with, where he says, "I just want to make note that no one should try and contact these people, and I do not condone your actions if you do so." Anyways, these DMs are actually a continuation from what I showed, with Max suggesting the idea of suing Mudahar for $1 million, and then someone in the server responding, "Dude, no. Can this just stop?" And then Spencer responds by saying, "I think this is important personally. Muda has breached terms of the NDA, and his actions have caused cyberstalking and harassment, and this is dangerous. If he doesn't learn, what stops him from doing similar in the future in relation to other cases? I think Muda should be held accountable. His behavior is disgusting." Someone responds by saying, "I'd be willing to, after we find out how this is going to be handled legally. But until then, I think I'm going to step back unless I can do anything to help the legal standpoint, just for the time being until we figure this out." Max responds, "Let's discuss it later, but Spencer is absolutely right, and the money will only help you guys." Someone then responds, "How would it have impact on the case?" And then another person follows up by saying, "My question too." Max replies, "The case against Muda would provide resources to help the criminal case against Camden. It would also shift public perception and get attention of the general public like national news, not just YouTube commentary channels." Another person responds by saying, "You can count me out regarding that. The cult case is enough for me." Max responds, "That's very understandable. Stay strong." Margot Toddler says, "He is lying to them. The state doesn't charge. They don't need money. Taxpayers pay for criminal cases when you're a victim and pursuing justice. What money would they need to go to the police, present evidence, and get the state to pick it up?" Logical says, "I'm sorry, but they still haven't provided any proof this dude did anything. On the person who's admitted to criminal shit is Spencer." Redrum Zombie says, "Notice it's Max and Spencer 100% wanting to go at Muda?" Kurt says, "Does Max really think it's a good idea to want national attention, considering Spencer admitted to recruiting for the cult? This doesn't seem like it will end the way he thinks it will." Dancing Ocelot says, "If they are going to sue based on NDA based on what Spencer said, in here, I don't see he has broke the NDA." He then shows this NDA message from Max on Discord. I don't know if this is the one he specifically sent Muda, but it basically just says that whoever signs this NDA can't publicly talk about anything that the victims have told him that proves Camden is a pedo cult leader. And this NDA, if this is the one he signed, would be in effect for 5 years. But the Survivors group chat isn't the only place where Spencer responded to the drama, as someone on Reddit called British T2 ended up leaking even more DMs of Spencer giving her opinion on the drama to them. The reason British T has contact with Spencer is because they reached out to her and MamaMax to help them with their own pedophile situation. If you want to read it, you can pause the video right now and do so, but since this video is more about MamaMax and his case against Camden Gerard Davis, let's just go straight to the DMs British T had with Spencer. It starts out with British T saying, "Hello Spencer, it's been a bit. I've seen some worrying stuff online. Is it true? I don't want to sound accusatory, and I'm really sorry if I do, but is it true that Max is lying about catching predators online? Again, am really sorry if I sound accusatory, because I just want to know what the hell is going on. I've heard Max say that the girl Casey that committed suicide in his IMVU video was alive and well during a live stream, even though this is contradicted in his video. Which is true. Why did Max change his story on this? Why did Max make an apology video on his channel? It seems like he got too wrapped up getting attention of folk, but I don't really understand what he meant. Are you able to elaborate at all? Why did Max not release more info on your case with Camden? I'm really sorry that I'm skeptical, because I know I would want to be believed too, and I'm so sorry that I can't believe you full, but I can if you give me more evidence if you were okay with it, because I know it is upsetting and painful to open up to people about it. Why has Max dragged in a lot of YouTubers that had no business in this, such as Charlie or SS Sniper Wolf? Why did he make people believe people like them were potentially predators? I understand attempting to make people get attention, but it feels wrong to do, especially with how people are outraged about doing it the first time, then continuing to do it a second time. Again, I'm very, very sorry about being so skeptic, but I'm scared that I went to the wrong people about me and my friend's abuser. I just want to make sure I did the right thing. A day later, they then say, "Hello, Spencer. I haven't received a reply yet, so I'm assuming you didn't see my message. I have other news that not relate to questions. My abuser is now wanted under a warrant from the Canadian police. If you did make the report, which I believe you did, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I may get closure after 2 years." Spencer responds, "I did, and I'm happy something happened for you. You were so brave, and I thank you for reaching out. As for all the rumors, it's just people that don't like Max taking their opportunity to pounce. And the only questions I can answer are, Casey wanted that to be the ending of her story when told, so he respected her choice. We've spoken to lawyers that advise us not to release evidence in relation to the case for now. It would be a last-ditch effort if this round of reports doesn't work." British T responds, "Okay, thanks for talking to me about it. But what about all of my other questions? Again, you don't have to answer all of them if you feel uncomfortable speaking about them." Spencer responds, "I'd prefer not to answer, especially since I cannot speak for Max. And I know your other questions will be answered over time. There's just been a lot going on at once lately, as you've seen. I'm sorry if any of it is still worrying you." British T responds, "It is. I heard from others that people believe Max faked his videos and never hunted predators with some wrongly concrete evidence I sadly cannot deny the existence of, and I wanted to make sure I did, in fact, put my faith in the correct hands." And then Spencer never responded to them. So after all of this information about Max leaking out, we got even more leaks. This time, the full context to the recording MamaMax was making about Charlie that I showed at the beginning of the video. The full thing is 50 minutes, but I've cut it down to just the essentials. So without further ado, here is what he said.
Okay, here we go. SS Sniper Wolf this, SS Sniper Wolf that. Oh, SS Sniper Wolf. That's all I hear anymore is SS Sniper Wolf. Sorry. I don't like this guy. Yeah. This is Kavos. Oh, when I did pick a side, he was being a little asshole. He's the one who calls me unhinged. Am I unhinged? Am I unhinged, Kavos? SS Sniper Wolf, am I unhinged? Is that funny? Was that good? Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Kavos saw this part of the video and responded on Twitter by saying, "MamaMax going off on me just got leaked. I've caught more pedos than you, and it's not my only personality trait, unlike you, unhinged freak."
Gosh. Like, even after her cancellation, she is still getting way more views than I ever get. Like, I understand. I understand why we hate her. I understand why we want her canceled. I get it, guys. Believe me, I believe it. But there's more important stuff out there, guys. For real, like, way more important. Like, this is garbage. I get it. I agree. I literally agree with you. I'm on your team here, Charlie. I'm on your team. We are on the same team, buddy. You just gotta communicate with me. You gotta open up, buddy. How many subs she has? Oh my god, dude. You know how much you could do with all that power? God, one friggin' conversation with Spencer, one upload, that's all it would take for this. That's all it would take. And yeah, this is what we're doing instead.
Friends, it's me. You can work 2 days a year and make $260,000.
15 minutes of your time. That's all I'm asking. They probably think I'm... Dude, right? Dude, yeah. Am I not? Kinda. I feel like I'm the only fucking person who has any sanity with...
Sam Bankman-Fried is facing off.
Well, coffee's a little too, but...
I don't care who you are or what's your history.
I don't care who you are or what's your history. I don't care. I know, Charlie, that's the problem. That's the problem, Charlie. You don't know my history. You have no idea who the fuck you're messing with.
No, I feel like you'll scare him more.
I literally love you, Charlie. I literally love you, dude. I think I would not be doing all of this if I didn't like you. Okay? Are we clear? I don't hate you. I know I'm a little unhinged. Oh, MamaMax is unhinged. Okay? For good reasons. For honestly, like for the right reasons. Oh, Charlie. You're pretty cool. I think you're pretty cool. What you could work on is being more responsive. And I know you have literal millions of people vying for your attention, but you chose to add me on Discord. So I thought that meant you would want to know if there was something you needed to know about. And this is something I thought you needed to know about, and I'll get more into that when we have a conversation. But yeah, just need 15 minutes of your time, bro. I see you playing Remnant 2 DLC. You have time for video games. You have time for me. Okay, I will literally talk to you while you play video games. Like, you can literally live stream our entire conversation. I just want to talk to you as like a person, because I know you are a good man. You have only ever displayed that in your character. But there are some things you can work on. I think there's some things we can all work on. And that's prioritizing children over everything else. But I am being the nicest I could be. I could literally cancel you, Charlie. I could literally cancel you. And I choose not to. It's true, though. It's the truth. Like, I'm the friggin' pedo hunter. Like, just doing my best out here. I told the survivors I would not let them down. And I'm not gonna. Not gonna let them down. This is real shit. This is the real shit. The realest shit can get. Is that right? It's the real shit. We are real. I love this dude, though. Dude literally could be talking to you right now. Just talking your ear off about something. Because I get it. Like, I get what I'm doing is creepy and obsessive. It is. But I promised them I would not let them down. And I will not. And that will make me obsessive, because this is what I'm obsessed about. More people need to hear about it. More people need to see it.
because we do not know how common it is. We literally have no idea how common it is.
So someone who has been getting quite a bit of scrutiny in regards to his endorsement of MamaMax is NightDocs, who doubled down on the unsubstantiated pedo allegations that MamaMax made against Magnetar. Here is that clip.
Now, it turns out that the guy who orchestrated the video
might be a pedophile.
Possibly.
Right.
Might be a pedophile. Yeah. Who sent out
Where does it end? Where does the cycle end?
Like
and
Max showed this
apparently,
like
was this the White House interning with Obama or something? Like there was this whole weird arc in there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like it was so weird because when I watched the Max video, like when I got to the end, and I had it running like on the TV behind me while I was working on something here, and like it got to the point where I was at the end of the video. I look around and it's like 6 out of 5, and then he mentions the guy making the video. I'm like, oh fuck, what happened with this guy? And then he says he's a pedophile, and I'm like, I just stop right there. I'm like.
And then he showed a clip of his sister saying that the guy that's making that organized the video was sending like dick pics to 15-year-olds and stuff.
Yeah, me and my girlfriend were following the whole thing like crazy because it was like me and my girlfriend were like, we know Max, so it's like we just want to know this whole fucking thing, and me and her were blown away by the bombshell. We're like, what the fuck? Like, how can this? Yeah, it's like you got to imagine, like, if you're the guy running these things and you have a possible history.
I mean, to be honest, looking at it from his perspective, Max is this guy who obviously has a chip on his shoulder and hates this dude, right? And he's making videos about catching pedophiles. He's just scared that one of the videos will be about him, so he's trying to discredit Max first. That was the impression I got.
So now that all of the stuff has come out about Max, a lot of people are going back to that clip and criticizing NightDocs for it. So NightDocs ended up addressing it in this video.
So I have 2 things to say just as closing thoughts. The first thing is I have learned a lot personally from this entire story. From this Max situation, I have learned that I need to not take friends at their face value. This is like the 3rd time for me personally that I regret taking friends at face value. And Max, while we have never been close friends, like to the point that we didn't even have each other's like Discord information or any contact information really until this situation started and he asked someone to put me in contact with him. But still, I'll be honest, it really sucks. It really sucks. And this is not the first time it's happened to me, and it's bullshit. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anybody that got any hate because of me, and because I was friendly with this man and alleged things or alleged corroborating things that he said. Because it sucks. It sucks. I feel slimy for trusting him and for doing that. And that's shit. I don't know. That's what YouTube's been teaching me lately, and it's just such a sad and sucky freaking lesson.
And speaking of YouTuber friends MamaMax had, one of them was a YouTuber called NightDocs. A friendship that was so close that NightDocs actually let MamaMax live in his house for free for a certain period of time. But then MamaMax went behind the scenes and told people that NightDocs was a pedophile. This eventually came out during all of the other drama that we've been covering up until this point. So NightDocs responded in this Twitter statement where he says, I know people have been wondering where I went and why I fell off so abruptly. My comment section is full of questions. The truth is that over a 3 to 4 year time span, I experienced one traumatic event after another. I was suffering from severe depression. Then I went through a messy, identity-shattering divorce. The woman I loved and knew me better than anyone rejected me. I lost my job, facing more rejection about my ability to do what I was hired to do professionally. My grandmother died. My house flooded during the big Texas freeze. And since I no longer had a job, I was on a mortgage payment deferment, which meant I believed I didn't have home insurance, so I wasn't able to repair the damage, and my house became a depressing mess falling into disrepair with a concrete slab for a floor. My house then caught fire during a live stream. On top of all this, some of my closest friends who I thought knew me well completely rejected me and cut me off. And while I was given an explanation, it didn't make any sense to me. Then I found out that Max, who I had opened my home up to and allowed to live rent-free just so I could have a friend nearby to help alleviate the loneliness and isolation I was feeling, had gone behind my back and spread false allegations of the worst sort about me to my closest friends and didn't even have the courage courage to tell me. Worst of all, I could not defend myself because not only did I not even know why my character had been completely assassinated, he had so much credibility both publicly and privately that I didn't stand a chance on being believed even if I knew about what he had said. I simply wasn't strong enough anymore. By this time I had completely run out of money, and I knew it was too dangerous for me to live alone, so I moved in with my parents, further eroding my self-esteem. My father and brother and I spent months repairing the damage from the flood and the fire and sold my house. I had what seemed to be undeniable empirical evidence that I was a toxic piece of shit that people were better off without. With nothing left to live for, and no visible path to an existence worth enduring, I came within hours of doing something very stupid and very permanent. I had a plan, a place, and had made up my mind. I planned on leaving no note, because at this point, I felt I was so worthless that it wasn't even worth explaining anything. And then my daughters saved me. The image of their faces too young to understand and so unconditionally loving. It wasn't fair. My parents checked me into a mental health facility that evening, where I stayed for over a week and a half, until only last week, when Nexpo called me to tell me what Max had done to me behind the scenes. I really believe everything that had happened to me was deserved. I'm just now starting to put my life back together. I have a good therapist. My daughters love me with the childlike innocence that heals with every hug and kiss on the cheek. They know that daddy is sad, but are too young to understand. But they truly saved my life by simply being who they are. And the thought of them dealing with the fact that their father wouldn't be around for birthdays, graduations, weddings, all of the boy problems, it kept me alive. If not for myself, for them. I recommend watching Nicholas Diorio's latest video linked below, talking about what Max has done broadly. You'll hear me speak on the record for the first time about all of this. What he did to me pales in comparison to the damage he has caused to the women he allegedly abused, and the victims of CSA that he has failed through his own narcissism and unchecked megalomania. I and my friends that you destroyed are moving on. The damage is done, but the healing has begun. Out of darkness, we can all find light. Turkey Tom responds by saying, GG, good luck, man. Rod Ellis says, out of darkness we can find light. Missed hearing that line in your videos, and I can't wait to hear it again. NightDocs' response has always served a dual purpose, the other being to remind myself. Keith Andrews says, the most interesting part of the video. I'm ashamed I ever subscribed to Max now. He seems to be incredibly devious and malevolent. Looking forward to your return, dude. NightDocs quote tweets himself and says, I'll be leaving tomorrow morning, and will be dark for the next week or so. My girls and I are taking a family vacation. If anyone is trying to reach me and I don't immediately respond, I'll be back around February 10th, I believe. So, MamaMax did respond to all of this on his Patreon, which got reposted to Twitter by Nicholas Diorio, where he says, Max is desperate to keep the Patreon money coming in. I don't believe for a moment that he got plans to get a job. This is manipulation. Feel bad for me garbage. Do not fall for it. He then shows the post from Striker Films, which is the name of MamaMax's Patreon, as his last name is Striker. But anyways, the post is titled, For Those of You That Remain. Despite the recent defamation campaign, your support has been invaluable. Unfortunately, our operation here has been severely crippled, so I'm currently seeking local employment, but I remain committed to our film projects in my free time. Here are the current plans. We'll proceed with the documentary on Camden Gerard Davis after law enforcement has concluded their investigation. An extremely detailed response video, Silence All Survivors, is in the works, revealing certain influencers' actions against us and the survivors we are supporting. Given the sheer volume of attacks, finalizing this project may take months. If there are specific concerns you want addressed, please mention them in the comments. It seems our detractors will continue to drown out our voices with more falsehoods and accusations until we give up, but the truth soon emerges over the horizon. Stay alert and open-minded until you finally see the other side of this story. Theoretically, I could engage in the same manipulative strategies, align with their adversaries, exploit every rumor and accusation ever made about them, orchestrate gossip among our peers to alienate them, and even platform their most abusive ex-partners and past enemies. However, I refuse to engage in such tactics, choosing instead to present facts and let you judge them based on their own merits. Thank you again for believing in us. We will not be silenced. Alex responds to Nick's tweet by highlighting the part of MamaMax's statement where he talks about the manipulative strategies people use against him and captions it by saying, this bit in particular is absolutely hilarious. Nick responds, at NightDocs, isn't this exactly what he did to you? NightDocs then responds by saying, haha, yes, I have thoughts actually. NightDocs then shares this image where he highlights the part of Max's statement where he talks about seeking local employment, the survivors he's supporting, the manipulative strategies he claims people use against him refusing to engage in such tactics, and him presenting facts. He comments on these things by saying, "What could you possibly be qualified to do? Ever since you got yourself discharged from the military, what the hell have you even done? And I'd love to be a fly on the wall when they ask you to explain the gap in your employment history. Who do you even have left? Seriously, is there anyone besides Spencer? Theoretically, this could be a massive projection where you list the very specific things you did to me, and unlike the testimonies you claim are evidence, I not only qualified what I said as what I was told, and we have countless corroborations coming in. You may have lived rent-free in my house, but it's clear I'm living rent-free in your head, and the reason it scares the shit out of you is because it should. You may be dangerous, but now only to people who give you the time of day, which is no one. Max, if you actually gave a shit about these survivors, you would recognize that even if you were right, your reputation is so tarnished, so much, that you no longer can be the messenger. Take whatever dignity you have left, and bow out as gracefully as you can. Others have already taken over, and the only reason you could have to continue is to massage your insatiable ego. How come you have 0 exes that you parted ways with amicably? What's more likely? Every single person you've ever dated abused you, or the abuse flowed from a different direction? Please, find me an ex-girlfriend of yours who actually knew you and can speak positively for your character. I hope you have noticed the pattern in your life that you stay in an area only until it reaches the point where people figure out your bullshit, so you skip town and start fresh somewhere else. Normal people just don't have enemies, Max. I have people I disagree with, but enemies? I know you think you're fucking Batman, but you were just a scared little boy who literally wears lifts in his sneakers to make your ass look around her. You antisocial cringe fuck. Also, while we wait for the months it will take for you to fabricate a response, rest assured, there is an absolute nuke right next to your face, just waiting to detonate. She found us, Max. It's fucking over. I'll bring marshmallows. Anyway, I'm hitting the beach. Just be glad your ChatGPT lawyer has a $0 retainer. Goblin shares this clip with the caption, Camden David somewhere watching MamaMax destroy credibility after 5 years. It seems someone on the MamaMax team is hitting people with bullshit privacy strikes. Doing this won't get the stink out of your shitty behavior of the internet, you clown. Relumis responds by saying, when the cancellations won't work, time to pull the lawfare. Savok says, I'm surprised he and Plagued Moth aren't besties. They both love abusing copyright and privacy complaints. Average Vibe says, that's like the last step of a channel going to the forever sleep. Texas Bronco says, MamaMax is the new lolcow. That creepy reading quote tweets Mudaharan says, I hate how the new bullshit DMCA has turned into the new bullshit privacy complaint. When you call people out, they're just going to try and take your stuff down. And that's about it for the discussion around MamaMax. Absolutely insane that MamaMax did not only falsely accuse Magnetar of being a pedophile, but also one of his former close friends, NightDocs. If you want to hear all of my thoughts on this, I recently did a live stream talking about it on my second channel, Mayo Monkey, which has been clipped and condensed into a video on that channel that you can watch right now. As for your guys' opinions, I would love to hear them in the comment section below of this video, and while you're at it, if you could leave a like, I would deeply appreciate it. But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.